everybody, and welcome back. People often ask me, why did you decide to specialize in gut health? And what I say is that I decided to specialize in gut health because it is so centric to everything else. The gut really is the center, and our bodies are all connected, and that's what I want to showcase in this video today through this gut-lung connection. A lot of people don't realize that by adjusting nutrition and focusing on gut health, asthma can be improved, and some people have even gotten rid of their asthma taking this functional medicine approach. So I can't wait to share some information with you today. I recently had a 1 hour long interview for this worldwide summit that a woman in Italy pulled together, all about breathing. So functional and more holistic approaches to improving asthma, improving breathing. So once that's launched, I'll be able to share that full interview with you all on this YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell next to the subscribe button so that you get notified when that video comes out and when all our videos come out. So I'm Ashley Oswald, registered dietitian and founder of Oswald Digestive Clinic, where we help people improve and eliminate bothersome gut issues like gas, bloat, diarrhea, and or constipation. You can work with us one of two ways. You can schedule your free gut health call at the link below to work with us one-on-one, or you can join us in our Heal Your Gut course. So without further ado, let's dive right in. And today we're going to focus on talking about the best foods for asthma and things to consider in that category. With that interview, I went into much more depth with things such as how factors with your mom during pregnancy could impact in early life and as a baby, and then environment as a child, the microbiota, all these bacteria and fungi and viruses and things in our gut, and so much more. So today's video is just solely focused on foods for asthma, but I wanted to mention that because I want you to know that this isn't the one sole thing nutrition-wise that can affect and improve asthma. So without further ado, let's just dive right in and get to it. So how do we even know about this gut-lung connection? Well, we do have research, and most people don't realize this. So I want to share this with you before talking about the foods. So the first thing is, when mice were stimulated with something called LPS in their lungs, which is basically an endotoxin, the researchers found that there is an increase in the number of bacteria in the guts of the mice. And then also, when they got pneumonia, it was found that there is an increase in intestinal damage, that intestinal wall damage, so showing that lung to gut connection, and then vice versa. When the gut was exposed to more short-chain fatty acids, which basically come from these fibers that bacteria then can ferment and create these really anti-inflammatory compounds called short-chain fatty acids. So your gut bacteria are creating this from foods like beans and legumes and green bananas and potatoes and chia seeds. So basically, when somebody has an increased number of those in their gut, it was found that there was a decrease in lung inflammation, which is how that could help with asthma. So there's certainly this established gut-lung connection that most people don't realize, and that's why honing into gut health to improve lung conditions like asthma is really important, and most people aren't being told that by their doctors. So foods. What to do about food? Where do we even start? So interestingly, some researchers have found that food sensitivities, otherwise called food allergies, that term sensitivities and allergies, the meaning is slightly different depending upon what country you're in and etc. But they found that in about 25 to 90% of asthma cases, this is playing a role. And I want to share with you two really notable studies that show just how important this is. So the first one is a study of 322 children. About 85% of them have asthma, and they're put on a 6-week hyperallergenic diet. So that basically means these foods that in most people are low likelihood of causing immune system triggers, hyperallergenic or, allergen. So it was beef, carrots, broccoli, apricots is what these kids ate for 6 weeks. And after just 1 week, 91% of the children showed improvement in their symptoms. And even more incredible is that after the 6 weeks, 61% of these children had almost complete resolution of their asthma. So certainly food plays a role. The next study I want to share was done in a hospitalized setting where 41% of adults were given either an elemental diet, which is basically food broken down to its smallest component. So it's similar to that hypoallergenic diet, but even better because it's really low chance of immune system being triggered, or the normal diet. And the individuals who got the elemental formula showed a 43% of them improved versus 6% on the normal diet. So that's really significant. And another study that just outlines how much food can matter when it comes to breathing and breathing issues. So now what do you do? Okay, Ashley, I know that food can contribute. Like, where do I even start? Do I go gluten-free, dairy-free? Do I do a lab test? What do I do? So you really have 3 options. To start, you could do a basic gluten and dairy-free eating plan, and if you're able to, include eggs and soy in that as well. With the research as far as what foods seem to contribute to asthma, really is all over the board, but those are really common food sensitivities for people. Now, what would be even better, but this is not as easy for folks, and this you should have medical supervision for, but it's doing that elemental formula. And why should you have medical supervision is because if you go on an elemental formula and it greatly decreases your risk of getting an asthma attack, once you start adding back in foods, you're at such a higher chance of having a more severe attack. So certainly make sure you have an EpiPen with you when you're doing any sort of elimination. And really with doing an elemental formula, especially with children, most doctors would recommend doing that in the clinical setting in the hospital just to make sure, especially during that, well, mostly during that reintroduction phase. Now, the third option you have is running mediator release testing, which we run at our clinic. And this basically looks at about 170 different foods, and the lab specifically trials all these foods against your own white blood cells in little vials to see how many mediators are released with exposure of your cells to all those particular foods. And you'll get results that look like this, where it's a bar graph showing the foods that seem to be releasing the most mediators and the ones releasing the least. And those mediators are what cause symptoms. So this could, after just 2 weeks, greatly decrease that allergen load and thus improve your asthma. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can reach out to our clinic. Now, if doing an elimination protocol seems super daunting to you, something you could start with first before going there is looking at the composition of your meals and eating in a way that's going to better balance your blood sugars, because there's research showing that in all the individuals looked at, they were having hypoglycemic episodes. So basically their blood sugars were going low. Our blood sugars should be nice and steady. They have their normal ups and downs, but if they are spiking too high, dipping low, it's found, and the mechanism of this isn't clear, but that can be triggering more asthma episodes. And so in all the people in this study that were put on this more blood sugar balancing eating plan, they all showed improvement in their asthma. So what does that look like? It's basically eating real whole foods, having protein at every meal, plenty of fiber, and following the Oswald Digestive Clinic eating plate, which if you're in our course, we talked in depth about that as a starting spot for gut health as well. So really decreasing those refined sugars, looking at ingredients closer, and things of that sort. And last but not least, when doing an elimination protocol, especially with children, it is so important to really focus on the foods you can eat. And so if you're doing this with your child, have the whole family do it so the child doesn't feel left out of that emotional eating experience with the family. And then don't focus on what you're cutting out. Don't focus on the dairy and the wheat and the egg and the soy. focus on what's going to be included in these new foods, and you can take your child to the farmer's market and they can pick out new foods, or maybe you try getting into gardening, and all those things can make it more exciting for the child as you transition into this elimination and then reintroduction, which is an important part of it, reintroducing those foods to see which ones might be triggering issues and which ones might not, so that you can have the most variety in the eating plan at the end of the day. But again, that disclaimer of it is important to have an EpiPen on hand, and ideally work with a professional on this, considering there is some risk when it comes to asthma. All right, so I hope that was helpful for you all. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button so that you get notified of our new videos every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Time. And thank you for watching. I will see you all next week. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.